Everybody hear me out there? Welcome everybody to the 2016 Summer Taylor Road Show. We're glad to have everybody here. Great turnout. Hope everybody has a good time. If you have any questions, make sure you raise your hand. We are so proud to have Taylor here. They put on great events. They brought a lot of great guitars, great musicians. We're so thrilled to have them here. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to raise your hand. It's not a problem whatsoever. We're very interactive here. So welcome. Everybody have a good time. Thank you so much for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Let's have a hand for these guys. Jody and Ben were working sound, but they didn't do such a good job. No. All right, cool. We can bring. Is that really loud back there? Or is it just really loud up here? Really loud. You can bring that down a little. Okay, cool. Cool. My name is Barney Hill. I was the district sales manager for Alabama until about 2 weeks ago. We brought in Mr. J.R. Robinson back there to take over Alabama for me back there. But we Rocham Road for I don't know who's going to do the road show tonight, and I got to win. So he's going to be here tonight for at the end. If you have any questions that you didn't get answered and you were too embarrassed to ask in mixed company, you can ask J.R. or Kenny or myself. We have Kenny Etchison here tonight. He's our guitar monkey. I'm going to talk about the guitars, and then he's going to make them sound really pretty. And hopefully everything I say, you guys will believe without fail and have fun. And at the end, when you guys are done, when we're all done, you can come up and play all these different guitars and spread out throughout the store. These guys said we'll hang out as long as you guys want and are interested in playing guitars. I don't have a road show till Thursday, so these guys got to be in Auburn tomorrow night. So we'll hang out all night if you want. How many people have been to a Taylor Road Show before? Okay, cool. How many people have not been to a road show? Okay, you guys will get my jokes. Cool. No, Taylor Road Show is a lot of fun. It's really about you guys in the audience. Everybody in the audience has a different gig. How many guitar players do we have in the audience? Mostly. How many non-guitar players do we have? Permission givers, supporters, drivers, wallet holders. Really, the road show's for you guys. I can stand up and say anything, and all the guitar players that drool over all these, the 900 series and Brazilian Rosewood or the new 700 series down there. They're gonna drool over no matter what we say up here. But often this is about for you guys because we're going to talk about the different shapes that we make and the different tones that we use. Because often your guitar playing significant other or a friend comes to Bailey Brothers on a Saturday afternoon and comes home and tells you all about that amazing Milagro Brazilian Rosewood 914. You have no idea what he's talking about or she is talking about. And this is kind of a little bit of an insight into our craziness as guitar players. Because you know how many guitars we need, right?
One more.
One more. Always one more.
All of those on stage.
Yeah. This might do.
Yeah, this one's different. I swear to God.
We don't get together and trade excuses, just so you know, as a general rule. No, but tonight's really about you guys. Everybody has a different gig. Some of you, play in church on Sundays and Wednesdays. Some people play in, beer church on Fridays and Saturday nights. Some people just sit on the porch playing for buddies. Some are home recording. Some, just play for themselves. And every guitar that we make kind of fits each of those gigs really well. So we're going to run through them. And you'll hear the difference between, for the shapes of the tone wood, which is kind of the first thing, we're going to do everything in the same 800 series. So it's going to be Indian rosewood with Sitka spruce, and we'll just change up the shape. So you'll really hear the difference that the shape makes on the tone of the guitar. Then we'll kind of stick with one shape and just change up the tone wood. So you kind of hear what the different tone woods make on a guitar. And hopefully that gives you a little bit of a blueprint to kind of find your next guitar. We also have some exotic stuff to play. Not the everyday regular 6-string guitars. We have a 12-string guitar. We have the little GS Mini T5 for those of you that like to rock out. We'll do that at the end. How many Taylor owners do we have in the audience? Okay, cool, most of you. So if you ask me what a Taylor sounds like, this is the guitar I'm going to grab. This is an 814 CE. Hopefully it's the same one that I put there earlier. So the 814 CE is Indian rosewood back and sides. Grand Auditorium body shape. This was Bob Taylor's original body shape in 1994. So now a little over 20 years, this has kind of defined the modern acoustic tone. A dreadnought kind of defines the, see somebody already switched them. The dreadnought kind of defines the traditional acoustic tone. This one really defines the modern acoustic tone. So it has the same lower bout as a dreadnought. So you can strum on it, get real loud with it, you know, play all the Strowman cowboy chords on it. But that pitch and waist that it has kind of sits a little lower on your leg, controls some of the overtones that a dreadnought's famous for around a campfire, but a little infamous for in a recording studio or a live situation. So you can do a little more fingerstyle also with that guitar. We kind of call it our jack of all trades or a Swiss Army knife. It's one guitar that does a lot of different things. With an Indian rosewood, it's kind of the, if you made, you know, twisted my arm and made me have one guitar for the rest of my life, this is probably the tone wood combination with the shape that I picked, because it's going to cover the most musical bases. Cool, so that's a grand auditorium. Anything that ends in the number 4, and the 814, the 314, 214, anything like that, that's going to be your grand auditorium body shape. Second one I talk about is the grand symphony. These look pretty similar. The difference is in this waist here, kind of is moved up and out a little bit, kind of opens up this whole lower bout here, kind of gives it an extra gear underneath. Still, this is our big, bold strumming guitar. It has a big bottom end to it with the lower bout, and kind of gives it that, again, that extra gear. It still has that balance and top end that Taylor's known for, but if you need a big strumming guitar, this is a great one for it. So the G, so tonight is totally okay for you guys to play favorites. You'll find one guitar you kind of like, ooh, that one sounds good. Or you hear another one and say, no, that one's not me. So tonight it's totally okay to do that. My favorite body shape is actually the smallest one we make. This is the grand concert. Anything that ends in the number 2. This is things a little bit smaller. The whole soundboard's smaller. It's also shallower than most of our other guitars. And the distance between the saddle down here and the nut up here is almost 3/4 of an inch shorter than our standard length scale length guitars. Everything about this guitar kind of invites you to wrap around it, play it a little more intimately, do more fingerstyle stuff. That smaller body focuses the sound more, rolls off some of the top end and some of the low end, and kind of focuses a little bit. So if you're on stage with a lot of other musicians, this is a great acoustic guitar because you have a more focused sound. You can sit in the mix, and that sound line allows the whole band to get louder because you're not stepping on other people's sonic frequencies. So it's kind of a secret weapon too if we're playing really loud on big stages with lots of other musicians.
So I'll play some fingerstyle on the Big Bull Strummer. The same piece on the Grand Concert. Fingerstyle. Same piece. This is the Grand Symphony. Why is that? Yes?
With surface area, you get the higher volume to it without having to play.
Exactly. It's your homework. Very good. Exactly. It makes you more of an intimate, delicate player. A little more dynamic, actually. I'm playing favorites too. Grand Concert is one of my favorite body shapes. Because of that reason, when you're in a studio or when you're playing by yourself, playing some fingerstyle, without a pick, you still get a full sound by brushing with your fingertips. If I were to do that in a Grand Symphony, you'll never get that full body. So if you're primarily a fingerstyle player, a Grand Concert would be a guitar for that.
So in the Grand Concert, you kind of have two choices as well. The 14th fret model, which means the neck is joined at the 14th fret, or the 12th fret model, which basically means the neck is joined at the 12th fret. I know we're tricky naming stuff that way. This is kind of, it's the same scale length, so the distance is the same, the string length is the same, and it pushes the bridge down into the body a little bit more and loosens up the top. So it takes even less right hand, but it gives you more volume and a little more bass responses as well. So it's not as focused of a sound.
So listen into the thumb note, the bass note. You hear the difference from the 14th to the 12th.
Cool. How many people learned how to play guitar on a guitar shaped kind of like this one? I learned how to play guitar on a guitar shaped like this with strings this high off the fretboard. You all deserve to own a Taylor. You paid your guitar player dues. This is the Dreadnought. This is the, this is actually this year's 100th anniversary of the Dreadnought. Martin came out with this shape 100 years ago in 1916, and it's kind of been the definition of acoustic guitar for all that time. That has that kind of real boxy shape, kind of a push in those upper mids. This is a great sing-along guitar. If you don't have the benefit of a PA that keeps feeding back on you, or anything else, and you just need something really loud to play around a campfire, this is a great guitar. If you are camping with an 810E, I want to camp with you because you have cool camping gear that I won't covet. But that is just, I was doing a road show in Lexington one time, and the product specialist, we were tuning guitars, and he just strummed an E chord, and you knew that it was a Dreadnought because it's that sound that you picked, out of off albums for hundreds of years, 100 years now. Yeah? Yeah.
It's got that overtone, meaning the notes kind of intermingle with each other and creating these other sounds called overtones. They have on Dreadnought the most. That's why a lot of flat pickers use Dreadnought, because every single note is very present.
Mine doesn't sound like that, man.
I think that song's going to go over like a lead balloon.
I might get sued.
Cool, so I said it's okay to play favorites. How many people like the Grand Auditorium, the Sarma knife, the Jack of all trades? Best. Okay, great. How many people like the Grand Symphony, the big bull strumming guitar, the loud one? Okay, cool. How many people like the Grand Concert, the smaller, more intimate secret weapon? Okay, cool. How many people like the Dreadnought, the more traditional, sound one? How many people are Led Zeppelin fans? All right, cool. The reason I asked that is this is our newest body shape. This is the Grand Orchestra. And all the things I love about all those shapes kind of come out in this a little bit. It's a big, giant guitar, so it's one of the loudest guitars you'll ever play. This low E there's nothing better in the industry than hearing that low E on that guitar. And also, when Andy redesigned it, and he kind of designed and braced it, so fingerstyle players can get on this guitar and do light, pretty stuff with these giant lungs pushing the air. If you really like a great old Dreadnought, if you ever played a pre-war Dreadnought or something that's been around for 50 years, they have kind of this light airiness to the tone. We play a vintage guitar today that kind of had that. Andy's built a new guitar with that kind of vintage, kind of light airiness to it. So it kind of does a little bit of all those things, but it's very dynamic. Whatever you play, it just shows off really cool. And you can have that soft, pretty stuff at the beginning of the song, and then the big giant power chords in the middle, and just and a really cool, pretty outro. And this guitar holds with you the whole way.
So this is strum. Jumbo guitar, yeah? It's a good guitar to strum, it's loud. What happens if you play up high here? The volume drops, right? The thing about the Grand Orchestra that I like about low notes, still loud when we play up high. Sound. So it's perfect for fingerstyle as well.
body shapes of Taylor guitars. So did you guys hear the difference between all of them? Okay, cool. So for this part, we're going to talk about the tone woods that we make, and we're going to stick with the GS body shape, the Grand Symphony Big Bull Strummer, but we're just going to change up the woods. You can hopefully hear the difference between the woods. So like I said, one of my favorite tone woods is mahogany. Before I started Taylor, I was very much a rosewood maple snob. I thought all these really crazy pretty woods are the ones that, you know, with a crazy figure and flame and all that stuff was what I was into. And then I started working at Taylor, I started playing a bunch of mahogany guitars, so I was like, ooh, tone-wise, this is what my fingers sound good on. Mahogany lives in the mid-range. It has really strong fundamental, just that real rich, you know, whenever I say mahogany, real rich mahogany mid-range, you know, leather-bound books and all that stuff. I love mahogany. It just has that really familiar sound. It's also, whatever you throw at mahogany, if you're playing jazz on it, it's like, cool, I'll play that. And if you play a rock on it, it's like, yeah, cool, I'll play that. Bluesy stuff, whatever it is, that kind of smooths everything out and just kind of makes everything cool and mellow. So.
It's got too much highs or lows. They've got that nice little mid-range, especially where your finger pick. So perfect for that.
Strum that in a second, and then
It's mahogany. Just do that. Now, you were like,
what do you guys hear? A lot brighter, a lot more articulation on the top end. There's also a lot more low end to it, kind of hits you a little bit lower. Where this is rosewood. Now rosewood, when mahogany lives in mid-range, rosewood accentuates that top end and that bottom end and kind of gives a little smiley face EQ. Kind of, so you have that thunderous lows and super high, crispy highs. A little pocket in the mid-range. So if you're on performing and backing yourself with just you on stage playing guitar, this is a great guitar. A Rosewood Grand Symphony, easy for me to say, Rosewood Grand Symphony with that little scoop in the mids is a great little pocket for your voice. So this is a great guitar if you're the only one on stage playing and singing. Yes?
What's the difference between the mahogany and the rosewood in density? In the density of the wood?
Rosewood is going to be a little harder, so a little denser, I would say, a little oilier. Mahogany is a little lighter and more porous. Okay. I don't know the scientific answer to that, but that's dumb guitar player speak to answer your question.
Oh, that's why mahogany works as a top.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
mahogany bodies and necks, but not so much fretboard. It's
Yeah,
not as
no.
hard, it's just less dense.
Yeah, we use ebony on all our fretboards.
If you're playing like that's your low and bass player. The top end definitely pops out.
Cool. So the third one we talk about is maple. I was a huge maple fan. My first Taylor in 1994 was a maple dreadnought. I love it. My dad had a 93 615 jumbo that's built maple, and I coveted that guitar. And when he got me, it was a really cool birthday. He bought me a Taylor dreadnought that was flame maple like this one. And that was just my favorite tone wood for the longest time until I got into the rosewoods and then started not going, maybe maple's not my favorite tone wood with my fingers. Last year, Andy actually brought out the new Taylor maple guitars. It's the new 16 CE. Bob Taylor and Andy and Kurt Lissig started Taylor 40-something years ago, and they kind of recently, Bob turned over the guitar building to a young man named Andy Powers. Andy is an amazing guitar player, knows more about the history of guitars, can build anything, and is this ridiculously great, knowledgeable guy. So he's been kind of tweaking all our guitars and kind of making everything a little bit better. Bob's kind of, always says Andy's a way better guitar builder than Bob is. So some of the things he did with the new Maple is the way he built things. He changed the top to a torrefied top, meaning it's cooked in an oven, and he brings basically all the moisture out of it, brings it back up, and cooks it over and over again with his own kind of recipe, I guess. So it kind of sets the top. It kind of gets a little more, kind of breaks it in. Sounds like a vintage top. Some of the bracing, if you look inside that, it's actually the braces on the back don't go all the way to the edge, and that allows the back to vibrate a little bit differently than some of our other guitars. So a lot of his knowledge of building our shop maple guitars. So if you think about it, for hundreds of years, maple's been the choice for stringed instruments. That 100 years ago, flat top guitars were rosewood or mahogany. 50 years, or almost 70 years ago now, somebody decided to make a flat top guitar out of maple, but they never really redesigned it. So Andy kind of redesigned the way the guitar was built with the idea that maple was going to be back sides. Maple has amazing transparency. Whatever you play, if you play pads of your finger, if you play fingernails, if you have big giant acrylic nails, if you have metal banjo claws, if you have tortoiseshell pick, whatever it is, you hear all that stuff coming out of this guitar. The guitar gets out of the way. It kind of has a transparency to it. And you just, as a player, whatever you want to play, this really jumps out to your audience and cuts through a lot of the mix because it's so transparent. You just hear what the guitar is doing.
The notes come out really linear and just in front of me. It doesn't have that much overtone. It's got a quick decay and a sharp attack. It's perfect for some rhythmic playing.
Cool. So those are the three basic food groups of tone woods. You have mahogany that lives in the mid-range, lots of bloom, lots of kind of real strong fundamental. You have rosewood, which super high highs, thunderous lows, the IMAX experience, super wide, little scoop in the mid-range. You have maple, which is that transparency, really fast take, more linear, less overtones. Those are kind of the basic ones because all the other tone woods we kind of compare to those three in trying to describe them. So coming up with talking about tone is always fun. So. This is another one of my favorites. This is koa. Koa is, if you imagine a mahogany tree and a maple tree, cross-pollinated, had a little baby tree that grew up on the big island of Hawaii at 5,000 feet and above. That's the only place on the entire planet where this koa comes from. So it's just a speck of land in Hawaii. And it kind of has that real rich mahogany mid-range, but it has a little sparkle that's even higher than maple, way up on top with a little cartoon bird singing on your shoulder. And especially a koa top, the more you play it, the more that low-end rosewood kind of growl comes in. I was doing a road show in Nashville a few years back, and I said that, and we had a new koa guitar, and somebody in the audience said, well, I have an old koa guitar, like a 15-year-old koa guitar. You want to hear what it sounds like? Live without a net. Let's hope this works. And he brought up on stage, and everybody was just like jaws hit the ground, like how much more bass it had after 15 years of playing it. So it was pretty cool.
So I got this tuned differently than the other ones. So here. Double drop D, so the high E's down to D, and then B up to C. So it's got this dominant sus chord, whatever you call it, which is cool sounding. So I do this kind of.
So one of the cool things when I go and do these road shows and show up in a store and you're like, okay, I wonder what exotic things that they have to play for a road show. You know, which tone woods we can use that are not the basic ones that I bring. So Bailey Brothers has, I'm going to cheat a little bit. This is a 914, so it's a Grand Auditorium. I didn't have this in the 16. This is what's called Milagro rosewood, Brazilian rosewood from the Milagro tree. Milagro is Spanish for miracle. It is hands down the best tree that's ever been cut for guitar wood from Brazilian rosewood. It was this gigantic tree. It's famous. There's been, Martin made stuff from the Milagro tree. Gibson had some of this. This gigantic tree that we have a bunch of the sets that were cut well before CITES, well before everything. It's actually one of the only, it's the Brazilian rosewood that you can take around the world and make everything. It's totally, completely ethically cut and legal, and it's the miracle tree. So we did a run of 900 series guitars in Brazilian rosewood. People are like, what does Brazilian sound like? Well, it's if you, let's say, Indian rosewood, you have those thunder slows and super high highs, and you have maybe 24 bands of EQ in between there. This is like a 48 band EQ. Everything, there's just more of everything. Kind of has the Indian rosewood, but just more and more and more and more. And if you don't hear a difference, count yourself lucky, because it costs $1 Brazilian. So. Okay, design up a bunch of guitars and we'll build them and take them on the road. This is Tasmanian myrtle wood. This is a custom shop. Tasmanian myrtle wood back inside is this little strip's Hawaiian koa, which matches the binding going around here, and then a European spruce top. European spruce is kind of like Engelmann spruce, kind of has that little bit softer, but it's a little more punch and projection than the European one. So, and this is a Grand Symphony. This is like mahogany and rosewood, if they kind of came together, has a little more flat or linear response, but kind of emphasizes in the mid-range, but it's a faster attack too of the rosewood. So those are kind of some tone woods that we use. Is there any tone wood or any questions about woods or shapes, anything we've covered so far? Okay, cool. Any question about Kenny's personal life?
It's really dark.
We spend lots of time in minivans during the week, so driving from town to town. So we find out a lot about each other. Like I said, this is our 100th anniversary of the Dreadnought, and Andy Powers thought it would be fitting to kind of mess with our Dreadnoughts a little bit. This is, the one constant Taylor is change, so that's probably one of my favorite things about working for Taylor is I'm a gear nut, so I'm always looking for that next piece of gear that's going to make me sound better than I really am. And at Taylor, we're always trying to tweak it and make a guitar better, and which is funny because if you imagine Fender stopped making a Tele, or Gibson stopped making a Les Paul, or Martin stopped making a Dreadnought, we as guitar players would lose our minds. But if Taylor changed everything, you'd be knocking on Bailey Brothers' door saying, "Can I see the new stuff?" like the very next day. So as a guitar player and a gear nut, that's a lot of fun company. That's a fun company to work for. So what Andy did with the Dreadnought is he actually made it a short scale, so it has a little bit shorter scale. Also has this slotted headstock, which makes the break angle of the strings here go into the headstock at a little different angle, and re-braced everything to kind of give it a more traditional Dreadnought acoustic sound. It also has a little bit of a soft V carve on the neck, so it kind of has that little bit beefier reminder of the old Dreadnought. So if you get a chance, we have this one, and we have a mahogany top version. I think it's right there on that riser. So definitely play those because it's definitely a more traditional feel of Taylor than we've had. It's the ultimate blues guitar. New thing this year was we kind of went crazy for 12 frets and 12 strings. We made a bunch of new 12 strings and a bunch of new 12 frets, and this is kind of one of what kind of came out of it. This last weekend I was in Nashville all weekend for the Summer NAMM show, which is kind of an industry trade show, and this is the guitar I kept showing off to people, and I'd sit and play it, and I find myself just like sitting there playing it longer and longer and longer. A few months ago at Merle Fest, I had one of these, and I was playing it, and I was like, oh, I love this guitar. I've never owned a 12 string because generally when I play a 12 string for a little bit, I'm kind of like, my hand's tired after 5 minutes. I'm like, I don't want that guitar anymore. This guitar I keep picking up, and it's a short scale, so the strings are all a little bit slinkier because if you shorten the string, it takes less tension to get it up to pitch. It's also a smaller body, so I'm vertically challenged, so it's much easier to wrap around than a big jumbo 12 string. Also, the 12th fret in it brings your left hand in. So everything about this guitar just makes it super comfy, and I could play this guitar for a lot longer because that left hand, this is a lot less tension to push everything down. And it focuses the sound more, which is kind of, I like that. You don't have the big jumbo with all kinds of competing frequencies going on. It's kind of it would be a great ensemble 12-string guitar because it's a much more focused sound. So it's a lot of fun. If you get a chance to play this one, it definitely is a fun, comfortable guitar to play. If you've never played, anybody not know what a 12-string guitar is? Okay. It has, each of the pair of strings are the same notes as the 6th string, but when you play them together, it sounds really cool. There's a lot of classic songs that we all grew up here and wouldn't sound the same on a 6th string.
We played or owned a 12-string guitar ever, right? Is it easy to tune it? Oh yeah, all the time. Is it easy to fret? Is it easy? Exactly. Is it easy to fret above the 5th fret? No, right? Why? It's because the strings are this high. Well, not on the Taylor. Any Taylor 12 strings, never, right? And think about having the strings the way up high. One, it's hard to fret, and second, if you're able to manage to fret it, it goes sharp because the strings are so high. You're pulling the strings. So the ultimate. Just saying. You know the joke about 12 shapes, right? The joke about
Yeah, the joke about 12 shapes, it's going to be a dumb joke now, build up, but you spend half your time tuning and half your time playing out of tune. That would have been funnier the first one. All right, cool. A couple more guitars. You guys good? You having fun? All right, cool. This is the newest, latest, greatest thing that I've come across here at Taylor. We like tweaking on things and change things. So Andy decided to redesign our 700 series guitar. The 700 series, before you can get this in natural as well, but this is a new verse that Andy came up with the Finnish guys called the Western Sunburst. It has a Lutz spruce top, which is what we kind of started using on our new 500 big body guitars. Lutz spruce is a natural crane hybrid between Sitka that grows kind of more coastal, and then Engelmann kind of grows up in the mountains in the Pacific Northwest. Lutz is actually a spruce that kind of naturally grows in the middle between the two. It kind of has a broken-in Adirondack feel to it, and generally is really pretty. Like the Lutz we've been using, every time we see it top, it has that creamy Engelmann stuff, or Engelmann color, but then it just has this really pretty, like what old growth spruce used to look like. So it's a lot of fun. This is the 12 fret rosewood with new performance bracing. Andy kind of tweaked the bracing a little bit and brought up some new bracing for us. So it's a cool sounding guitar. For a long time. Cool. So one more guitar and then we'll rock out with the T5. Sound good? Anything we haven't covered that you guys specifically wanted to hear? We can do that, I guess. So we talked mostly about backwoods, back and sides and versus tops. If you imagine, Bob, how many engineers in the audience? Okay, you're going to hate this part. So if you take a big pie chart, cut it down the middle, that half of that is really the body shape for your tone. Now cut it, now you're left with a quarter, that's pretty much back and sides. Cut it again, now you have an eighth, that's going to be your top. And then that last eighth, change that with if you want fossilized walrus tusk, ridge pins, or all the crazy things that people put on things for different tones. They're going to be those little idiosyncrasy of tone within that last bit. That's kind of the big broad strokes of tone. In spruces, you have Adirondack spruce is the stiffest. It grows in the Adirondacks in the northeast. Then you have the other spruces that grow in the Pacific Northwest. You have Sitka, which is a little stiffer than Engelmann. Sitka, Bob jokes that Sitka was put on this earth for guitar tops. It just does everything we want for a guitar top. So that's why you see mostly Sitka from anything. But Engelmann is a little bit softer, so it almost sounds like a really old broken-in top. And then Lutz spruce kind of is a natural hybrid, but kind of sounds like broken-in Adirondack, where Engelmann sounds like broken-in Sitka, Lutz kind of sounds like broken-in Adirondack. Then you have the cedars and redwoods and stuff, and those are going to be a lot softer. They're a lot shorter of the fibers in them, so the tops are a lot softer, so they round everything off and kind of work as like a natural compressor. If you strum on a cedar guitar really hard, you're going to hit a volume ceiling where it won't go any louder. But if you play a lot of fingerstyle stuff, it kind of sweetens all that up and kind of evens out the tone a little bit as well. So this is a custom shop one. So this is a guitar we don't really make right now. It's a cedar top with performance bracing with Indian rosewood back and sides. So it was from our custom shop. I was like, I'm going to make something we don't make in our regular lineup. So I put that one together.
Anybody play with like a thinner pick by any chance? A little bit? Like light or mediums or anything like that? This would be a perfect top for that because Marty said, it's got that natural compression. It's got a limiter. It kind of lifts up your volume a little bit. So if you play with a thinner pick, you still get a full sound from the C or top. I'm going to play real soft.
So this is rosewood with Sitka spruce top one here. It's going to be a little bit brighter, a little faster, a little more articulate on the top end.
But when you play fingerstyle, the notes doesn't really sustain as long as the cedar though.
Cool. That answer the question? Okay, cool. All right. Now, most of your guitar players, I already asked most of your guitar players, how many people own a GS Mini? All right, the rest of you should, as guitar players. You take it with a grain of salt, I'm a guitar salesman, but this is probably my guitar that I play the most. I have a GS Mini that I love playing. Before I had this job, I worked in a different industry, and I actually got to travel around the world. I took my baby Taylor with me to 5 different continents around the world. Played the heck out of it, loved it. When I get home, go in the closet, I play all my real guitars. In 2010, they gave me one of these to take out on the road, and so you can keep it, but you got to take it out on the road. When I got back from that first trip, it went on stand in the living room, and that's where it lives when it's at my house, because it is that guitar that you can just pick up, play on. I also have small children, and my Koa guitar, I don't leave on a stand in the living room. And my nieces and nephews come over, but I want them to play guitar. When I grew up, my dad, I'd be like, Dad, can I play your Strat? And he'd be like, okay, go wash your hands. Okay, don't turn my twin up past 2. There's all these rules to playing. Yeah.
Big house.
Yeah. Big house. We lived out in the country, so nobody cares. But there's all these rules to playing guitar. When my nieces and nephews come over, it's like, all right, let's all grab the ukuleles, let's grab the GS Mini, and let's just play on and bang them and run through the house. I also take it camping with me. It kind of has a lot of different things. It can be your starter guitar, it can be your camping guitar, it can be your travel guitar. I met a guy that actually took his on the back of his motorcycle across country. But the really cool thing about this guitar is back home in Southern California, there's a big festival concert called Coachella. It's Paul McCartney's headlined, and it's just ridiculously, like, I'm too old to go to festival concerts anymore, but they're the biggest stage I can think of. One year, the Gorillaz headlined it, and Damon had a 40-piece band. He had strings, he had a choir, he had Snoop Dogg, Satellite in, rapping with him live. I mean, 2 drummers. It was a ridiculously huge production. He stood at the front of that stage with a 40-piece band behind him with a GS Mini. So it's a real guitar for the biggest stages as well.
Sounds like a small guitar.
Cool, so that's kind of all things acoustic Taylor. Anything we didn't cover that you guys came specifically this here? Yes?
We're talking about the slotted headstock. I guess it would be more a question for you, but as a player, it increases the tension, so it's a lot stiffer towards in the. Since it's the one
She just smiled when you said that. I was like, yeah, that's the same thing.
Since you're the one playing, if you're when it increases the tension towards the open chord position, you find it to really like lighten up as you go up the neck, like because they've talked about it kind of lighten it up as you go up and down the neck.
Yeah, I mean, if you really go, really hone in on the weight and the ratio and the tension and all that, but to me, not really. Sorry, the truth. Just as a player standpoint, it looks cool. And with the tension, maybe, yes. But if you were to have, if you just change gauges, that right there just changes the tension way more than just slide that stuff.
Probably get a little more resonance because of brake angle. Tension is back to the scale.
So people, yeah, if you have dog.
Brake angle,
The brake angle is going to be a little bit steeper, but I don't know if there's any scientific basis for tension being different as you go up the neck. It should be consistently cut high, but like you said, bumping up the screw gauge is probably going to be more noticeable difference in tension than slide versus non-slide.
Stretch rope kept saying I think you need a rope.
But all the guys that raise their hand as engineers.
Yeah,
explain it to you.
he was one of them.
Barring on the slide headstock mode, we've got this slide headstock 510 back here.
Yeah,
Can you guys tell me what that profile that is?
it's a soft V. That's the new on the
Are you
500.
doing that on anything else?
There's that and the new 710 we make with that combination. So it's from our custom shop. You can also, we just recently added, right, JR? We just recently added neck carves as a standard model option on some of the guitars. It was only in our custom shop before, but now you can get an 800 series with a slightly different neck carve. Yes?
I'm interested in baritones. Did Taylor just start making baritones?
No, we made them in 2009 for our 35th anniversary, and then we brought it into our regular lineup for a few years, and then we kind of pulled it off the lineup because we found that people that wanted it kind of got them, and then we recently have done limiteds in different series of baritones. So we just recently sold out of the last limited we did a few months back, baritone 8-string, and in the 300 series. There might be something for towards the fall in one of those months. I think we're doing another baritone limited, so they're pretty cool. I wish I had one because it's fun to demo up here.
They had one here years ago.
Okay.
How many was it, 8 or 9?
The baritone is
We've had some 6 and some 8-string baritones.
27 inch?
Yeah, 27 inch, and then a 16 to a 70 gauge strings, and then tuned down to B. So it's like capering down on the guitar. So I'm trying to explain it, but it's much easier to hear it than try to explain it. Cool. Did anybody not fill out one of those little cards or print out your little thing on that? Ben, can you grab those and pass those out to guys who need a card? That's what we use for the free stuff. So if you haven't filled that out, that's what we're going to use.
Free stuff.
This one's a $3,100 raffle ticket, but it's a guaranteed winner.
It's a really expensive case, but the guitar's free.
I'll sell as many raffle tickets as you want tonight as well. And we're all coming to the end here, but if there's anything you guys want to talk about afterwards, or if you want to play all these guitars, feel free to hang out. We'll jam on guitars and I'll answer questions that you were too embarrassed to ask in the crowd. So.
Just a quick question. Would you rather buy a brand new Taylor or a 15-year-old?
I would rather buy a brand new one and put 15 years worth of playing. For me, I don't have my original Taylor anymore, but I do have a 15-year-old Koa one. That's a little grand concert that I love. I never want to get rid of. But there's about 43 inventions since we built that one that I would love to be on that one. But I'm never going to get rid of that one. I might just get a different one down the road. So we'll always be making improvements, but 15 years of playing on a guitar, you can't make that in a guitar. No matter how much amount of relicking you do, you can't get 15 years of playing. And also 15 years of practicing and 15 years of being with that guitar. You know what to play on that guitar versus that guitar versus that guitar, and you spend that much time with it. So to make it sound good. Cool. I can make up a lot of answers.
Yes, sir.
That's a good question. I like that question.
Same question, but try 38 years.
38 years? You have a 38-year-old Taylor? Oh, cool. That's
Sorry.
wow. Which model? Jumbo? Is it big jumbo or is it dreadnought?
All we had back then was dreadnought.
We did the jumbo also. That was that second one. But I usually see jumbos. I don't usually see dreadnoughts, believe it or not.
That's all I
We were famous for the big 12-string jumbo. That was, Neil Young on the cover of the Live Rust in 1978, had that one. So.
Okay, they announced 12 strings about 6 months after it got it.
Oh.
But I got it in 78.
Oh, cool. Did you bring it? back, a lot of the sales guys had kind of who could find the oldest one and buy it. So I think somebody has a 78. I think is the oldest one anybody got to. I was at a road show in North Carolina one time, and it was a 615, which was a jumbo, and a 650 and a 655. One was serial number 666, and the other was 668. I was like, that's rad. I want that pair of guitars so bad. Ooh, T5. T5. Let's rock out a little bit.
All right. All right. So the last part is the electric guitar. Yay! Rock and roll. Awesome. So the T5 Z that I'm holding here is a hybrid, full acoustic, full electric guitar that won the best acoustic guitar of the year and best electric guitar of the year. What? How is that possible? It is possible, and I'll show you why. Full hollow, there's nothing there. Electric guitar strings, electric pickups, 9-volt battery component, and a big pick if you drop one, and universal volume, bass, and what did I just say? What? Bass, universal volume, bass, and treble control, and it's active, so you can boost or cut those frequencies. Okay? There's 3 pickups and a pick. There's 3 pickups, one underneath the last fret, a body sensor, and then a bridge pickup right here. And it's a humbucker. There's 2 single coils on top of each other, so therefore it's a humbucker. So you don't need to worry about that 60-cycle hum that we all love. Otherwise, oh yeah, and then the standard T5, which started off 2003, I think, or 4, is a little bigger body, and it's got a flatter radius, 15 inches, and a smaller fret, which is mediums. Small body, rounder neck, radius 12 inches, and jumbo frets. Some more electric, right? A lot lighter, which is nice for your back. Otherwise, yeah, and then there's a 5-way switch right here, which I'll go through, okay? That's what a T5 stands for, the 5-way switch. Below me, I have an pedal board that I have for my personal T5s. It's got an ABY box, which is a fancy name for a switcher. Switch back and forth to acoustic and electric, which is nice. And then a tuner, chorus pedal, a couple overdrives, and a delay because I'm very insecure and I need those pedals to make me sound good. And a clean amp and an acoustic amp. And that's pretty much it. All right, so I'll go through all those 5 positions.
Stereo output.
I'm sorry?
Stereo output.
No, I have a switcher.
Okay.
So I can run both as well, which I'll go through too. And they all come in different configurations in terms of aesthetics. This is a Coca-Cola top, which is real pretty. There's a maple top, there's a rosewood top, and the standard classic mahogany top. They all have the same electronics, same pickups, same everything, but it just looks cooler on this one. But they all have the same sound. Okay? All right.
You come in the gold top?
What's that? there actually is a gold one. Yeah, the gold top one is really cool too. Okay. So first position, very far left, is the neck pickup and the body sensor. So it's the most acoustic sound you get from the T5. So I just boosted the low and the highs, so made it more of a mahogany, or rosewood, excuse me. Now more of a mahogany sound, which is more focused mid-range. I lowered those 2 EQs and raised the volume a little bit. So more of a mahogany-esque sound from that T5. And I'm running through the acoustic amp. So from 2 through 5 positions, it's going to be all electric. So I'm going to switch to the electric amp. And this is where the fun begins. Shredding! So position number 2 is just a neck pickup. Position 1 with the body sensor. Position 2, no body sensor. Just a neck pickup. So neck pickup on an electric guitar. Warm, twangy. boost the bass, cut the treble, stay in position number 1. Instant jazz box, right? Pretty cool. Now I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to cut the bass, add some treble, and some overdrive, because when in doubt, add overdrive, right? Right? It's got the SRV kind of a tone. On a Taylor! Right? I'm just saying, you can do all that. And then, position number 3 is the bridge pickup. Bridge pickup on an electric guitar. Bright, punchy, quacky, right? All the technical terms that we all use. Get that funky, quacky sound. Give some distortion and some delay because it's always fun. You switch your acoustic guitar just like that. It's magic! Switch on that acoustic and electric. Perfect top 40 gig, top 40 gig wedding gig, birthday, bar mitzvah, funeral. What? I'm just saying. I've done funeral gigs before, and it's really sad. Don't do it. Anything you want. If you're like me, just say yes to every gig. You'll end up doing everything. But anyways, I've done a wedding gig where I had to play acoustic set for the ceremony where the bride walks. It's very emotional and awesome solo Beatles tunes. And then cocktail hour with all the small plates and little cheese and crackers and little grapes and stuff. Really fun. And then some dance tunes where you have to play some AC/DC, Bon Jovi, you name it, you have to play it. If I had to carry my acoustic guitar, acoustic amp, electric guitar like a Les Paul, a big pedal board, a clean amp, and a music stand and a real book, and an olive card, and my small Civic that I used to own. Impossible. It's like Tetris every single time you load in. Let's say if I had the T5Z. Here comes the bride. Right? It works. Good enough. And then good enough for jazz, right? Yeah, that's a major something to remind for. Yeah, jazz. All right, rock and roll. And then saved my back so many times. This will be a perfect setup for a T5Z because it's got an ABY box, a couple fun pedals, and an acoustic amp on electric amp. That's all you need to do all the, again, funerals, birthday gigs, bar mitzvahs. I'm telling you, it works. It works. And that's just the third position. There's 2 more. Position number 4 is neck pickup and the bridge pickup running in parallel, meaning they're both running at the same time. So it's somewhat out of phase, kind of quacky. Imagine like a Gretsch 50s hollow body, middle position. So it's got another. I got this little slapback delay. It's a short single delay. It's kind of got this sound. almost done. One more position. Let's see. It's neck pickup again. First pickup running in series. So we were in position number 4, parallel, right? Series. Parallel, series. So neck signal is feeding the bridge pickup. So it's going to be less out of phase, which is nice for those bluesy, round, smooth tone. If you're into like Albert King, B.B. King, Dwayne Allman, Mike Bloomfield, just never heard of those people. It's perfect for that blues sound. It's one of my favorite position to play any lead stuff because it's got that nice round sound. Right? It works. So if it's raining outside, if your baby leaves you, if you run out of money because it's about the T5, not too worried because you have this, right? So that's 5 positions. There's one more sound that I like to do. I'm going to utilize ABY box and some pedals that I have here, chorus pedal and some delay, and the 2 amps. And of course, T5Z. I have the electric side having a bunch of reverb and delay and chorus. To the point you can't really hear what's going on rhythmically. This is where this guy comes in. Yeah. Sounds like this together. It's magic. There it is.
Come and go.
Cool. So now the real reason you came, the free stuff. Anybody not turn in one of these sheets?